If you have to describe this film in one word, how you would do that?
Truth.
Truth.
True mirror. True mirror. Okay, 2 words. True mirror.
Love.
Balance is the sense of balance, and then with the Rumi quote, it's all about that. It's all about that middle ground. It's all about, like in a field of between wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field, and I'll meet you there.
True.
And I think it's all about, finding that balance.
3 reasons people should watch this film.
I think people should watch this film because not only is it entertaining, I think it actually deals with a very serious issue, and it's dealt with a lot of sensitivity where no one is being vilified. No point of view is being vilified. It actually brings all of these conversations to the table.
You will see yourself on screen. I promise you will come out of this and you will see yourself. You will be moved. And the characters will stay with you.
Well, one, it's an all South Asian cast, which is amazing. But for the most part, it's an all South Asian cast. It's written, directed by an incredible South Asian writer-director. And I mean, that to me is a reason to watch it. 2, it's a story that you don't see often.
Is this film for everyone or just for the immigrants? Because we have noticed in the trailer, it's more focused on that,
Yeah, I think the immigrant story is a universal story. I think we can put any frame around it, but there are certain similarities in the immigrant stories of how people have adjusted to a new culture. So given that, I don't think it's specifically for South Asians as an offering. I think the story in itself is a much more universal story, and people can find those threads.
Do you wish to break the stereotype of what is usually shown about immigrants in a lot of movies,
I think one of the issues that we have in our representation is that, yes, some of our stories are being told, but they're not being told frequently enough, and they're not being told diversely enough to totally understand the experience. Yes, there are certain stories that have come out of our culture and our people, which does deal with some of these issues, but that's not the total sum of it. For example, a lot of the stories that we see, which are this immigrant issue, ends up being about parents who are adhering to the older values, and the new generation is more more in step with the culture, right? See, yes, that story has been told and has been told really well.
Yes.
But there is another story. There's another story of the parents who did assimilate, who did find their own place in that society, and yet they still have to deal with all of these issues. Because yes, the other stories were, I think, even more effective when the immigrant experience, especially to Europe and the US, where our numbers were smaller and we had not been there for long enough. Now we are in every walk of life. We are facing challenges on every aspect of our life. So our experiences have changed. And I think we need to be talking about those experiences.
What made you sign this film?
When I first read the script, the first thing I noticed was that there was the depiction of Kathak. And as a Kathak dancer for many years and an artist, a South Asian artist in America, I had never seen Kathak depicted in any form of media, in any form of entertainment, in Hollywood. So I was drawn to it in that way because I had 10 years of training in it, or more years. So I thought that was amazing. And then 2, it's the story of a girl who is caught between, her cultures and what is expected of her in a way, and the way she grew up and her roots. And I think as a South Asian woman growing up as an actress in the States, I feel that same kind of conflict among my my roots and my background and my culture and kind of what's expected of me, and what I'm drawn towards and what I love. And so I loved that, and I loved the relationship between her and her father. I thought that was like very different than what I've seen before.
Very, very true. And how was your whole experience working with the cast, with the crew, with the director? The whole thing to come into reality. Like, how was that experience?
It was amazing. It was they're like a family to me. They still are. I love them. It was the most amazing experience I had on a set because everyone around me is just like me, and that's different. It's rare to experience something like that.
True.
So it was amazing. I mean, Iram and I connected from the very beginning. Faran and I connected from the very beginning, and Faran and I also, and then Baba was just amazing. I mean, he's just such an amazing, incredible actor. And Sheetal is one of a kind. So everyone, I grew up watching these incredible people on TV, and then to be able to work with them was like, True. I felt like, what's happening? This is amazing.
Where did the idea of I Will Meet You There come from?
I think पहला experience तो ये था कि being in America, in a post 9/11 America, there was a lot of sort of experiences I saw people in my community have here, sort of in the wider Muslim community and the Desi community and the Pakistani community. So uska ek pehlu tha for sure, right after 9/11 there were friends jinke fathers were picked up from mosques without any reason, and it was under the Patriot Act. It was okay, like if you did anything in the interest of national security, you were allowed to do it. So I remember that college mein ek meri Iranian dost thi, and her father was picked up after Fajr prayers from a mosque without any reason. And 2 saal ke baad, when he was released, then they said ki ji aapne taxes galat file kiye the, which was such a bizarre reason to put somebody in prison for 2 years. So this was just an example of the Patriot Act. And then just mosques getting raided, and people, some of my high school friends who had gone to college on the East Coast, they said the FBI called them in their dorm rooms. So there was all this stuff happening. So that I think had an impact on me.
What was the whole process like to make this film and bringing this script to life, Like the whole process, definitely it must be challenging.
It was very challenging, and it took a really long time. And primarily isliye, because as I said earlier, that Hollywood ka jo system hai, it's not necessarily interested in financing stories with our people.
Yes.
In the lead, और खास तौर पे dramatic stories, comedies फिर भी अब आपने देख लिया शुरू हुई हैं, रामी है आपका, master of movie television पे. So I think that because we had to make it an independent setting, it took a really long time to try and raise the money. We raised the money, it fell through twice. Then बड़े मुश्किलों से film बनाई, फिर pandemic हो गया, premiere cancel हो गया, कुछ अजीब ही सी कहानी रही है इस film की. So अब बस हम hope कर रहे हैं कि हम लोगों ने support कर दिया audience के, that they come and they see it properly. But I think कि जितना ज़्यादा struggle किसी चीज़ में लगता है, sometimes उतनी ही मीठी film बनती है.
Yeah.
So the process has been long. The script was actually, the first draft of the script was something I wrote in film school years ago, before I even made my first feature, Josh, and my second feature. So it was very personal, but it took a really long time to make because I just wanted to do it right. And I think that the cast that we got finally was actually the perfect cast for a film like this.
Very true. Perfect cast. That's so true. वो कहते हैं ना कि सब्र का फल मीठा होता है. So maybe that's what, like,
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. अभी तक तो खैर कोरोना ने कुछ फीका किया है, but let's hope कि GCC की release जो है काफी मीठा कर दे.
Yes, and now next one is what kind of message you want to deliver to the audience through this film? Like, क्या message अगर like as an audience, like what message they will get it from this film?
I think the message is that, which is what the quote is again, that even if you have a lot of disagreements with the place you live in, or the people you live amongst, there is always middle ground, and there's always a way to sort of have a conversation. So on one end, I think my message, especially to the younger crowd, is that figure out a way to be your true self and communicate it with your family.